Okay, so picture this. You're watching the news, live broadcast. The anchor's mid-sentence, delivering headlines, and then just silence.
Hmm.
But not like a technical glitch, not a dropped mic. It's the person just stops being able to speak
Yeah.
globally.
Right, and that's the hook, isn't it? November 12th, 2093, 04.32 UTC. Geneva. The moment everything changed.
Exactly. This account we're diving into today calls it the Silence Epidemic.
And it's crucial to grasp, it wasn't just that people couldn't talk. The actual concepts, the meaning behind words, reading,
Yeah.
it all just vanished for almost everyone.
Instantly, imagine the chaos. Emergency services getting calls, but it's just noise, gibberish.
Complete system failure.
Mm.
Hospitals, governments, how do you function without shared language? You can't. It's societal collapse pretty much overnight.
The source calls it the lexical fade. That's the psycholinguist term they use. Basically, your brain's language processing just switched off.
And irreversibly for most. Written words became like meaningless patterns. Think of libraries suddenly just rooms full of paper with squiggles on them.
It's terrifying to even contemplate. But, okay, amid this total silence, there's this fascinating exception the account details. The speakers.
Yes, this is where it gets really interesting. Certain individuals somehow just weren't affected. They kept their language.
And they were scattered, right, all over the world in isolated pockets.
Exactly, and such a diverse group, too, which is puzzling. Young kids, very elderly people, some writers who were maybe deep in their own worlds.
Also priests, poets, people who were deaf and use sign language.
Right, sign language being a visual language, maybe that processing was different. Also recluses, people living off the grid, sort of.
It makes you wonder what protected them. Was it how intensely they used language, or maybe a different kind of use?
We don't know for sure, but it suggests language isn't monolithic in the brain, maybe. Anyway, among them, this figure emerges, Dr. Anika Shah.
A cognitive linguist. Based in Mumbai, she'd been working in a soundproof lab, completely isolated.
So she steps out, completely unaware, into this utterly silent world.
And her first recorded words, according to the account, were just, "Where have all the voices gone?"
Wow. It just captures the sheer emptiness, doesn't it? That question kind of hangs over the whole narrative.
It really does. So that's our mission for this deep dive, then, to really unpack what this account tells us about a world without words.
Yeah, explore the fallout, how society just crumbled, how these speakers managed to survive and connect.
And ultimately, what it all says about language itself, its power, maybe its fragility, too.
Definitely. Okay, so the immediate aftermath, the breakdown.
Yeah, the account really emphasizes how fundamental structures just dissolved, things we take completely for granted.
Like contracts, legal systems.
Exactly. They're meaningless if the words have no shared understanding.
Yeah.
Education systems gone overnight. How do you teach?
Even basic warnings, danger, fire. You can't communicate that. How does society function on even the most basic level?
It doesn't. It just stops. The account describes this breakdown of even, like, basic cooperation.
And it introduces this really disturbing idea of the imitants. People just mimicking actions, going through the motions.
Right, like muscle memory, but without the thought or the intent behind it. Like the narrative inside their heads just switched off along with the language.
Which really points to how language isn't just for talking to others, it's how we talk to ourselves, how we structure thought, right?
Yeah. It suggests consciousness itself is deeply tied to our ability to narrate, to use language internally.
The imitants become this kind of chilling baseline of existence without that internal world, while the speakers are these islands of observation holding onto the key.
So these scattered speakers, they somehow figure out they're not alone. And they start using amazingly shortwave radio.
Old tech saves the day, kind of. In a world of meaningless digital data, analog signals became lifelines.
And this leads them to form the archive, a conscious effort to preserve language.
Exactly. Preserve speech, preserve thought, memory itself. They realized the magnitude of what was being lost. And Anika Shah, the linguist, she naturally becomes a key figure.
Broadcasting basic words, like building blocks.
Yeah, things like tree, mother, fire, run. Just trying to anchor meaning in the silence, hoping maybe something clicks for someone somewhere. It's almost like linguistic first aid.
And the numbers are just stark. The account says only 2,013 speakers are left. That's less than 0.00003% of the population. Vanishingly small.
It really drives home the scale of the disaster. And Anika's quotes from this time are heavy.
Language is not just communication. It is how we know we exist.
Think about that. Knowing you exist tied to language. And the other one,
if we cannot fix this, It is the end of consciousness.
I mean, that's about as high stakes as it gets, isn't it? The potential end of human self-awareness as we know it. It's not just about talking, it's about being.
It really reframes language completely, not just a tool, but maybe the fabric of consciousness itself.
But then, just when it seems utterly hopeless, there's this shift, the echo children.
Yes, the kids born after the fade, they were born into silence like everyone else non-speaker, but...
But, crucially, if they were exposed to the speakers, they could learn to speak. They could pick up spoken language.
Which is fascinating. They could acquire spoken language through hearing and imitation, but not written language.
Exactly. They couldn't learn to read or write. The symbols remained meaningless to them. It suggests the virus or whatever it was specifically targeted that symbolic decoding part of the brain, maybe. While the auditory processing, the mimicry needed for speech, was somehow spared or could be reactivated in these young brains.
So the archive's mission changes. It's not just about holding on to the past.
No, it becomes about actively teaching. Rekindling the flame, you could say, passing language on to this new generation. It's a shift from preservation to, well, cultivation.
And this leads to the walkers, which is just an incredible concept.
Isn't it? Speakers undertaking these incredibly dangerous journeys.
Traveling in secret, often pretending to be mute imitants, right? To avoid attracting the wrong kind of attention in a broken world.
Yeah, a world that might be suspicious or even hostile towards someone who could still think in the old way. And their mission?
To find newborns, isolated communities, and just whisper words to them. Tell stories.
Plant those seeds of language, carrying the entire lexicon, the whole world of meaning, just in their heads and voices. Imagine the burden, the risk, but also the hope. They were vital.
Absolutely vital for spreading language beyond the initial speaker clusters.
And eventually their efforts bear fruit. The account describes the first echo city.
In the former Russian steppe, a community built around language.
Around 500 children, all fluent speakers. They couldn't read a single word, not a street sign, not a book.
But they had talk, argue, laugh, dream, all in spoken words. They built a whole society on oral tradition, basically from scratch.
It's a powerful image, a testament to language's resilience, even stripped of its written form. It shows how deep that drive to communicate really goes.
And then there's that scene, the aging Dr. Shah visiting Echo City, this encounter.
Oh, it's incredibly moving. A young girl, Kira, asks her the question that's probably been echoing in the silence for decades. Why did the world go silent?
And Anika's answer, it's not scientific, it's almost poetic. Because we forgot that language is a living thing. It must be spoken, tended, shared.
It hits hard, doesn't it? Suggests a kind of collective negligence, maybe, that we took this incredible gift for granted.
And the girl, Kira, her response gives you chills. Then we will speak it back to life.
Wow, that's the spark, isn't it? The determination of the next generation. Language isn't passive. It requires active participation. It needs to be lived.
So the story touches on possible causes for the silence, but never really lands on one, does it?
No, it leaves it ambiguous. It mentions theories like mimetic virus targeting language centers in the brain, some kind of rogue AI experiment gone wrong.
Or even this idea that maybe our reliance on texting, shorthand, digital stuff somehow caused our core language abilities to atrophy, wither away.
Plausible theories within the narrative, but ultimately the why remains a mystery, which might even be part of the point.
Perhaps. The focus shifts more to what survived, right?
Exactly. The fundamentals. Songs, names, basic questions, lullabies. The things passed voice to voice. An entirely oral culture begins to emerge, rich in spoken meaning, but disconnected from written history.
And the catastrophic loss there, all the ancient texts, centuries of written knowledge effectively erased, unrecoverable because no one could read them anymore.
A profound break from the past. A reset in the most brutal way possible.
And Anika's story concludes in Echo City. She lives to 91.
Her final words are just a perfect summation, really. Speak even when no one listens. Language is a light. Keep it burning.
It's like a final instruction, a legacy.
Absolutely. And the community's response, holding a week of silence in her memory and then breaking it with, it's just beautiful. Silence, then voice. Loss, then reaffirmation.
So wrapping this up, the takeaways seem pretty clear. Language is maybe more fragile than we think.
And absolutely fundamental, not just for society, but maybe for consciousness itself. The account really pushes that idea.
And it highlights the incredible power of memory, of spoken tradition, especially when everything else falls apart.
And just sheer human resilience. The speakers, the walkers, the echo children, rebuilding communication from the ashes.
It definitely makes you think about our own relationship with language, doesn't it? How much we just assume it'll always be there. Speaking, reading, writing.
We're swimming in it constantly, especially now with digital text everywhere. This story forces you to imagine the plug being pulled on all of it.
Yeah. So maybe the final thought to leave people with is, in our world, this world's saturated with communication, especially written and digital.
Yeah.
Are we maybe subtly changing how we relate to spoken language?
Are we tending it, like Anika said? Are we valuing the spoken word, the story told aloud, the voice heard directly?
Or are we forgetting its power, its living quality? What can this fictional catastrophe teach us about keeping that light burning right now?
It's a provocative question. Maybe just being more mindful of the words we speak, and the act of speaking itself is a start. Valuing the connection a voice can make.
Something to definitely mull over, the enduring power of just talking.